What do you see in these pictures? Take all the time you need. Is the one on the left a picture of my dog? Is that other one a picture of a bunch of birds? It's not a trick question. If that's what you see in the photos, you're in like the 90-something percentile. The majority of people see the animals, and they don't see the dozens of species of plants. Photos like these are classic tests of a human phenomenon known as plant blindness. Plant blindness is a term coined about 20 years ago by James Wandersee and Elizabeth Schussler, a pair of botanists, to describe the tendency of humans to simply edit plants out, to not even notice them, even as they surround us in our environments. They surmise that humans are hardwired to ignore plants because they don't move around and they don't have faces, and they're all clumped together and they have a similar color, so they don't jump out at us, I guess literally like animals do, as a threat or a high protein food source, nor are they recognized as kin. So what? Plant blindness means we conclude that plants aren't worth our time or attention. We literally lose sight of the absolutely critical roles of plants in our lives. If you don't think plants are an important part of human affairs, here's a thought experiment. Remember when we had a pandemic? Well, Ron DeSantis might not, but I bet all of you remember the absolute panic to stock up on the essentials, which come from what? Plants. Plant blindness also means we don't recognize and we can't identify the unique characteristics of individual plants. Some say this is because we're so civilized, we're not foragers and gatherers anymore, and like less than 2% of us are crop farmers anymore, so we just don't have meaningful experiences with plants. I don't know, man. As a species, I think we're just like generally terrible at noticing stuff. You'd be lying if you told me that all of us don't have some version of this kicking around our house. And if you were to ask an average American to draw a penny, research shows the images in this slide is what you get. So more than a genetic predisposition or a modern affliction, the real crux and the more insidious thing about plant blindness is zoochauvinism. We think plants are inferior to humans and other animals. Consider this, plants make up 80% of the biomass on the planet, and yet it is the rare biology textbook that features them. And only about 15% of the pages in these books about the study of life even discuss plants, the literal foundation of life. Zoochauvinism goes way back to at least the time of Aristotle. Philosophers imposed an order on the natural world, which hierarchically arranged things in the order of perfection, based on their perception of sentience and complicity, determined by stuff like moving around and having a soul, whatever that means. You can find various versions of the ladder of being, besides the two examples that I have here, but in all of them, plants are always somewhere just above rocks, passive, mute, unmoving furniture of the world, which contributes to our Western belief that plants are just here for us to use and exploit with no further value. But I submit to you that we must appreciate plants in their own right as extremely complex, fascinating living beings whose profound otherness is quite enough to merit human attentions. We don't need to look to the far reaches of the universe in a search for exciting alien species and superior technologies. The superior life forms are right here. You know, not all of them are little, and they're definitely not men, but they are mostly green. Plants have conquered and colonized the whole planet. They live underwater. They live and reproduce at over 19,000 feet in elevation. They can lose over 90% of their bodies and just regenerate all of those organs. They speak with an exclusively chemical vocabulary that we can't comprehend. They have sex over long distances by using the wind and the water and the fur and the skin and the digestive systems of passing animals. And then the resultant young could freeze or go without water for centuries and survive. They control the minds of insects to perform various services for them. They don't even eat. They breathe in carbon dioxide and they harness energy from a giant nuclear fusion reactor, and then they poop out a colorless, odorless gas upon which we are utterly dependent. But here's the most amazing power that plants have. Spending time among them, even just looking at them, provides clinically proven benefits like lower blood pressure, better sleep, and less depression and anxiety. Lingering with plantness, especially the act of planting and caring for them, makes us more empathetic and compassionate. Taking time to see plants to overcome our plant blindness contributes to our own growth. And maybe because each plant has its own unique beauty, they remind us of ourselves. Maybe the narratives of their lives with their struggles and successes Their adaptability and their survival in the face of tough odds inspires us. Maybe we're just reminded that before we invented doors, the outdoors amongst the plants was home. Whatever the case, I hope you go out and adopt a plant or hug a tree today and do your part to rekindle a relationship with plants. Because in a world on fire that seems to only get weirder and more chaotic every day, we need each other.